Hello, everyone. I hope that you guys had a wonderful week, as I did. I see a lot of you guys doing well, as usual. Right, so before going forward, I'd like us to have a very short conversation where we exchange, thoughts. And I would like you guys to, ask me questions. Let me know what you guys have in your minds, like any doubts that you guys have. What's your problems, if you have any? Right, most of you already know what you need to work on, but it might be something personal, which might not be even within the charts, right? Might be something that's mental. So we'll just be doing this for around 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll get to the charts, right? Daniel wants to know when sequential SMT will skip a cycle and use the next, right? We will talk about that in detail, right? Usually, yes, when you have SMT skip, then you see that's something that amazes me. Like when I haven't even talked about this really, but you guys already know, right? That is there. You already know that there is a way to know when it will happen, right? Pretty much, I have shared these things with you guys before, not like right like that, but I have, right? It usually happens on days that we don't have high impact news events, right? Other than Mondays, because whenever there's no news on Monday, if there's sequential SMT, that's something that is very difficult to predict, right? And usually it's something that you would predict using only technicals, right? So yes, with that being said, we will begin. So yes, as I've said before, this week we had the presidential elections, right? And we had price just expand, which is crazy, right? Because we had sequential SMT, which occurred before we had the expansion, right? So usually, and this is not something that is random, you guys already know, you'll have, whenever, as I've said before, when you have sequential SMT before a high impact news event, price will run in the direction that the sequential SMT is already pointing towards. I've always said that, right? And I did come again and say that after we had the news, right? Wednesday we had no news, but price still expanded. And then Thursday, price expanded a bit. There was no reversal, right? And this is a week that the only news event that would, make sense will obviously be the US presidential election, because all of the liquidity will be forced through that window of time. Here we'll talk a bit about Bitcoin since, right, we have been, correct for the past few, I'd say, months, right? So this right here that you see trading within this fair value gap, this candle, it is a precision swing point, but now you're going to learn something else that I'm pretty sure that most of you guys have picked up before. A precision swing point does not only occur when you have one candle in regards to this asset, which is the base asset, Bitcoin, being up close and the next being down close. It can also occur whenever you have a swing point forming within one asset and the other asset not forming a swing point. Right? So this in itself, again, is a cracking correlation. As long as, and especially here where you have this swing point being formed within this fair value gap. Right? To refresh you guys, the memory of you guys, we were bullish since the formation of this candle, even before the formation of this candle, right? Well, this candle was trading within this gap, and even though it was a lower time frame, right? We expected this candle to trade below this one, then we expected price to continue higher to all-time highs. This in itself is a wonderful trade, which I took. You guys saw my executions, I believe. And these are the best types of trades, right? With these types of trades, you have time to think. You don't need to be rushing. You have time to calculate your stop loss and everything like that, right? Swing trades, if you will. They take a few weeks to pan out, 4 to 5 weeks. And they are, very explosive. So here, and this is the base of all of this movement right here, right? Here, we had a cracking correlation, price traded within this gap, traded higher here, broke the highs. Apart from this, right, and after, we talk about the sequential SMT, which is occurring here, the SMT that's occurring here, the sequential SMT that's occurring here, right? Because this right here is not sequential. This high breaking through this high is not sequential, but this high breaking above this high is sequential, right? So after talking about this, we're going to be referencing to these 3 last candles that formed, right? These 3 last weekly candles. So here we have this high being taken out, this high being taken out, and here none of these highs have been reached as yet, which does what to us? What does this signal to us? That we should not be considering to, buy this at the moment. It's very simple, right? All that we're doing is following our rules, right? Which gets us on the right side of the market most of the time. We do not care for perfection because there is no perfection. And as Mathan said, and I will ask, can I talk about trading psychology? That's just me dropping it in right there. You should not expect to be perfect because you will not be, right? Instead of seeking perfection, you should be seeking consistency, right? So yes, here we're trading into a fair value gap, and also here we're trading above a high. So that in itself, again, is another cracking correlation, right? So in order for us to see a reversal, there is something that we must see occur on the lower time frame before, which is either the formation of a precision swing point, then sequential SMT, or sequential SMT followed by a precision swing point. Right? That's what we're looking for. And now we'll talk about this right here, these 3 last candles. So the last 3 candles that we were referencing to would be, the first would be this green shaded area below here, this blue shaded area here, and the third would be this large expansive move. Looking back at the last 3 candles, this is for Bitcoin and this is for Ethereum. You can see that the second to last candle, right? At the second to last candle, there was a crack in correlation which occurred here between the closures of the candles in this particular week. Whenever you have candles closed like this, an immense amount of liquidity will rest below and above. This is not a precision swing point. This is a precision candle, right? Price traded below this candle expanded. And here, price traded below this candle and this one as well, which is where we got SMT, and then expanded upwards as well. So looking back here, this is how it would look, right, on the lower time frame. You guys remember the entry pattern that we talked about, right? You guys remember, right, where we have price broke above this high, which caused the actual shift in market structure. Traded back down, could not fill this gap. Here, price filled this gap. And then price, right, was allowed to run higher. Before allowing price to be reversed, we need to see sequential SMT between at least, and this is, very important, between at least the monthly cycle. So before seeing anything, that would make sense to us, we need to see consolidation, such as that we had here. So we need to see price, drop, go higher, drop, go higher, just like what we had price range in here. Why is that? That's because even though sometimes you have expansion and you don't know when it will end, right? It's easy to know when it will begin, right? Because it always begins after you have consolidation. And there is always a pattern that occurs after you have the consolidation as well, which is the sequential SMT. You cannot have sequential SMT occur after expansion. It must occur after consolidation, right? Here we are looking at the FX triad. It's pretty obvious. The drawn liquidity is this high, right? First drawn liquidity for the US dollar this high, and then the second is this high. Right here, we've been talking about it since price was around this area. Why did we expect price to go this high? We had sequential SMT here, and we had a lower time frame sequential SMT here as well, right? Also, on this time frame, we can still see the sequential SMT. Here we had hidden sequential SMT where we had the closure below this, but here we had this closure below this one, right? Which would form a hidden failure swing. So for next week, we can expect to see the weekly candle close down for the euro and up for the dollar index, right? It's usually easier to navigate markets like this, since we have, the consolidation here, down in deep discount, here, high in the premium, and here we had price in premium as well, but it's still, able to navigate price right here, right? Next drawn liquidity, this low. And here is, our favorite market, the futures markets, right? More specifically, the index futures market. So here we had sequential SMT in regards to doubling theory, right? Between the months of the year, we had sequential SMT. We talked about this before. Precision swing point, price run higher, right? Sequential SMT, precision swing point, price went higher. Sequential SMT, precision swing point, and price ran higher. So the first, sign that, we might, see price fall back within, this area, which is something that we should look forward to, right? As long as we have sequential SMT here, between at least days of the week, next week, right? Here we had this precision candle right here. The thing with precision candles is that, right, whenever they occur, they usually occur before the reversal. That's what usually happens. So we're above all-time highs, right? We need to see sequence SMT, then we can expect price to fall back within the range. And once that happens, if we see another one, then we expect these lows to be taken out. They're too clean. NASDAQ as well, they're too clean. Whenever you see something like this happen, right, and of course we need to see consolidation first before the reversal, because that's just how price works. Where you see something like this happen, like price leave these clean lows, just as how it left these highs right here, it will usually return to, that pool of liquidity. And here we're taking a closer look at what occurred, right? As you guys can see, the low of the week was caused by what? Sequential SMT. What's something else that you realize every time we have sequential SMT, in this form, whether it's just regular sequential SMT or hidden market sequential SMT, when the low forms on Monday for an asset class, what happens? We usually have expansion throughout the entire week, right? So around here, most importantly, we had now just put it on the chart for you to see, the new week opening gap. We had consolidation within that new week opening gap, and then price just expanded like crazy, right? So the week was formed by sequential SMT, as how it will always be, right? So yes, I hope you found this useful. Next week, we should have better market conditions. We should have, not, more volatility, but better volatility, better trades as well, because as you guys can see, we barely had any, entries. So here, when I was, letting you guys know that I expect higher prices, you would just have to, just buy here and put your low below the week, right? Usually that's what it is, because sometimes you don't really have an entry, right? The low of the week usually, like here, the low of the week forms. Once you are within a new week opening gap here, you can consider that as a gap, and then you can expect price to run higher, as how it did. So I hope you found this useful. Next week, we should have more to talk about, and the weeks to come should be cleaner and easier for us to understand. That being said, good luck on good trading. See you next time.